Welcome back to the channel. Before cities, before history, before even our species, the Earth belonged to many kinds of humans. This is the story of the family we come from, and the many relatives we lost.
Look in the mirror. You see a modern human, Homo sapiens. But you are just the last surviving twig on a massive, tangled family tree.
For millions of years, Earth was home to many different kinds of humans. Some were giants, some were tiny, some mastered fire, and others lived in the shadows.
Today, we are going to walk through the entire saga of the genus Homo, from the first spark of invention to the conquerors of the globe. Our story begins in Africa, over 2 million years ago. The forests were shrinking, and the savannas were opening up. It was a world that demanded adaptation. Enter Homo habilis, the handyman. Appearing around 2.4 million years ago, they were small, ape-like, but they held a secret weapon. In their hands, they held the first stone tools. Simple broken rocks, yes, but for the first time, a creature was modifying its environment to survive. These first tools were more than survival aids. They were the dawn of technology, the moment evolution stepped outside the body and into the world.
Alongside Habilis lived another enigma. Homo rudolfensis. With a flatter face and larger brain case, they hint that even at the start, there wasn't just one way to be human.
But evolution didn't stop there. Around 1.9 million years ago, a new player emerged who would change the game forever. Homo ergaster. Often considered the African version of Homo erectus, ergaster was tall and slender. They were built for long-distance walking and running under the hot sun. Then came the most successful human species to ever walk the earth before us, Homo erectus. They were the first to leave Africa and explore the unknown. Homo erectus survived for nearly 2 million years. Think about that. They lasted almost 10 times longer than we have. Their greatest gift to us was fire. Evidence suggests Homo erectus was cooking food, which allowed for smaller guts and much bigger brains. Fire did more than warm the night. It extended the day, softened food, and gathered communities together. Around the flame, the human story began to be shared. With fire and long legs, they spread out. We find their fossils in the Republic of Georgia, in China as Peking man, and in Indonesia as Java man. While Erectus conquered Asia, back in Africa and Europe, the lineage continued to evolve. Enter Homo heidelbergensis, the ancestor we likely share with Neanderthals. Heidelbergensis was a powerhouse. They built simple shelters, hunted large game with spears, and had brains nearly as large as ours.
Around 400,000 years ago, populations of heidelbergensis in Europe faced a brutal ice age. Isolation and cold forged them into a new species.
These were the Neanderthals, Homo neanderthalensis. Forget the dumb caveman stereotype. They were sophisticated, strong, and smart. Neanderthals were stocky to conserve heat. They wore furs, mastered fire, and were apex predators who took down mammoths and rhinos up close. But they also had a soul. We found evidence of Neanderthals burying their dead, caring for the injured, and possibly making art. They were not so different from us. If you passed a Neanderthal on a cold street today, bundled in clothes, you might only notice the strength in their face and the depth in their eyes.
Meanwhile, far to the east in Asia, Another mysterious group emerged from the heidelbergensis lineage, the Denisovans.
We have very few fossils of them, just a finger bone, some teeth, a jaw. But their DNA tells us they were a distinct sister species to Neanderthals. Denisovans roamed a vast area from Siberia to Southeast Asia. And just like Neanderthals, they didn't just disappear. They live on in the DNA of some modern humans. While giants roamed the continents, strange things were happening on the islands of Southeast Asia. Evolution was taking a curious turn. In 2003, scientists found something shocking in a cave on Flores, Homo floresiensis. Nicknamed the Hobbit, they stood only 3.5 feet tall. Trapped on an island with limited resources, they underwent insular dwarfism. Yet they hunted mini elephants and made stone tools. Even more recently, in the Philippines, we found Homo luzonensis, another small-bodied island dweller with a mix of ancient and modern features. Just when we thought the map was full, a discovery in South Africa threw everything into chaos. In the Rising Star Cave System, we found Homo naledi. Homo naledi had a tiny brain the size of an orange, yet their hands and feet were incredibly modern, and they were disposing of their dead deep underground. This mix of primitive and advanced traits complicates the timeline. It proves that brain size isn't the only measure of complex behavior. Evolution was not a ladder climbing upward. It was a branching bush, experiments unfolding in different places under different pressures, all searching for ways to be human. So the world was crowded. Neanderthals in Europe, Denisovans in Asia, hobbits on islands, naledi in Africa. And then came the survivors. Around 300,000 years ago, in places like Jebel Irhoud in Morocco, Homo sapiens began to emerge. We didn't pop up suddenly, we evolved gradually. For a long time, we stayed in Africa. We developed complex language, better tools, and social networks. We became behaviorally modern. Then, about 60,000 to 90,000 years ago, a major wave of sapiens left Africa. This time, we didn't just visit, we took over. Intimate and revealing, the interbreeding aspect. As we moved into Europe and Asia, we met the others. We met Neanderthals and Denisovans. We didn't just fight them, we made it with them. Most non-African people today carry 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA. In parts of Asia and Oceania, people carry Denisovan DNA. They are part of us. But eventually, the other species faded away. Climate change, competition for resources, or perhaps violence, we became the sole survivors. We were not inevitable. For most of prehistory, we were just one human species among many. Survival was never guaranteed. By 12,000 years ago, Homo floresiensis was gone. The red deer cave people vanished. The genus Homo was reduced to one, Sapiens. We are the lonely species. But when we look at our hands, our walk, and our brains, we see the legacy of all those who came before. From the tool-making of Habilis to the wanderlust of Erectus and the resilience of Neanderthals, we carry their torch. The story of the genus Homo isn't a straight line. It's a brave, messy, and beautiful experiment in survival. And now the future of that experiment is in our hands. If you've been watching and you haven't liked the video yet, kindly take a moment to support the channel. And if this journey through our ancient past sparked your curiosity, consider subscribing for more stories from the deep history of humanity.